A shadow war is unfolding beneath the oceans. For the first time, China has openly unveiled a deep-sea cable-cutting device capable of severing the world's most critical undersea infrastructure at depths of 4,000 meters. And with that admission, Beijing has weaponized the very arteries of the global internet. Submarine cables carry over 95% of the world's internet and communications traffic. They are the silent backbone of global finance, military coordination, and information flow. Now they are targets. The device: silent, precise, and deep. Built to integrate with China's submersibles and unmanned undersea vehicles, this new device is designed to locate, manipulate, and sever undersea cables with surgical precision. What makes it different? Operates at 4,000 meters depth, far beyond most Western maintenance capabilities. Capable of disabling both power and data lines. Compact enough to evade sonar and satellite tracking. It doesn't just cut cables. It redefines underwater warfare, a first in global military strategy. No other nation has publicly admitted to possessing such a capability. This is not a defensive tool. It is an offensive geopolitical weapon. Beijing is signaling we can unplug the world. The most likely targets? Choke points near Guam, a hub of U.S. military communications. Taiwan's external fiber links, used for international coordination. South China Sea cable intersections, where multiple routes converge. In an era of global dependence on cloud computing and real-time data exchange, the ability to disrupt communications is more strategic than aircraft carriers. Why undersea cables matter more than you think. People think of the internet as satellites and wireless signals. The truth? The real internet runs under the ocean. 95% plus of all intercontinental data flows through submarine cables. Global stock markets sync through undersea fiber. Militaries depend on these lines for encrypted coordination. Cutting them isn't just disruption. It's decapitation. If China severs cables in the Pacific, banks go dark, supply chains freeze. US and allied forces lose battlefield communication. It's the digital equivalent of cutting spinal cords, a new kind of deterrence. By unveiling this technology, China is sending a message. We don't need to invade to cripple you. We just need to dive deep. This turns traditional deterrence on its head. Aircraft carriers can be seen. Cables can't. Missiles can be intercepted. Cable cutters can't. Wars can be predicted. This type of strike, instant and invisible. It gives China first strike capability in a new domain, the digital seabed. Guam, Taiwan, and the South China Sea. Red zones. The locations that should be most concerned. Guam, the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command's nerve center. Severing cables here could blind U.S. forces in Asia. Taiwan, vulnerable cable points connect the island to global markets and allies. Beijing could isolate Taiwan in seconds. South China Sea, the world's most contested maritime zone, also happens to be a major data hub. Cutting cables here would hit multiple nations. The threat isn't theoretical. China has already conducted deep-sea surveillance missions in these zones. Now we know what they may have been scouting for. The West is not prepared. Despite trillions flowing through undersea cables daily, Western nations have almost zero strategic protection in place. No rapid repair fleets for deep-sea cable damage. No military doctrines that treat cable sabotage as an act of war. No public acknowledgement of how vulnerable the backbone of the modern world truly is. China is exploiting that silence. The strategic cost of cable vulnerability. If China were to launch a limited, deniable cable strike, it could cripple satellite uplinks and GPS coordination, destabilize financial networks and crypto exchanges, force the West to choose between retaliation or silence. That hesitation would give China critical time to act in other domains, invading Taiwan, seizing islands, or pressuring allies. Cable warfare creates plausible deniability. A damaged cable can always be called an accident until it's too late. What should the West do now? It's not too late to respond. But it requires a paradigm shift in how nations think about infrastructure, warfare, and tech. Declare cable attacks as acts of war. Fund hardened deep-sea cable networks with redundancy. Deploy underwater monitoring systems at choke points. Develop retaliatory capabilities in kind. Educate the public on how fragile the internet really is. The next major war might not start with a missile. It might start with a snip. Final thoughts. The deep war has begun. China has just shown its hand. With a single device, it can silence cities, cripple economies, blind militaries. This isn't just technological progress. It's strategic escalation. We've focused for years on space, AI, and cyber warfare. But beneath the ocean, a new theater has opened. One that could determine the outcome of the next global conflict. And China is already in position. Subscribe for in-depth geopolitical warfare analysis, military tech briefings, and the threats no one else will talk about.